Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That's our world today. It's kind of scary, right? So how are you supposed to lead in this type of environment? By the end of this video, you're going to know 3 real-life examples of when leading went way wrong. By exemplifying just how bad it could get when you do it wrong, I'm about to teach you how to lead in a V.U.C.A world. You ready? Let's get it. In this video, I'm sharing 3 real-life examples of when leadership went wrong in today's V.U.C.A world, coupled with 3 lessons to learn. A grocery conglomerate out of touch, a multi-billion-dollar pet care company struggling with trust, and finally, a major player in the tech industry with a major blind spot. The first example is of a grocery store conglomerate. They were going through a series of acquisitions, really expanding their footprint around the nation, as well as their workforce and the number of communities that they served. But they didn't do a great job at truly striving to understand the perspective from the workforce, what they were truly thinking and feeling as they were introducing the change and going through the integration. They were really just skimming the surface. And by doing so, number one, they weren't gleaning the true perspective that would really help guide their integration plans in a meaningful way. And the organization, the workforce, didn't feel truly heard and understood. So the lesson here is to truly create the safe space where the workforce, where employees can feel safe and comfortable sharing their true perspective, not just telling you what they think you want to hear, but rather inviting them to share what they really think and how they really feel. That is so important when you're leading through a lot of complex change and when you're leading in a V.U.C.A environment. The second real-life example is a multi-billion-dollar player in the pet care industry. They were leading through really highly complex organizational change, and many of the leaders started to adopt this language, this call out to their teams and to their workforce. You just got to trust us. And that's so dangerous. And I'll immediately get to the lesson on this one. As a leader, it is imperative upon you to, number one, earn trust. You know, trust isn't just freely granted and given from our employees and our workforce. As leaders, we need to earn that. And then we also need to be giving trust. When we work those two, working to earn trust as well as giving it, that's when the organization will begin to trust us as leadership. But just by walking around, with all of the complexity, all the changes that were happening, they also weren't doing a wonderful job about communicating the impact and the nature of the change. And then just saying, just trust us, that did nothing but turn off the organization, turn off the workforce. So the true lesson here is, as a leader, work to earn trust. Ask yourself, what are the actions that I'm taking? What are the words that I'm using to earn the trust of my employees? As opposed to just expecting that they're going to grant me that trust blindly. And then also, what am I doing to show them that I trust them, to empower them, that I trust them to get the work done? By the way, speaking of trust, you can trust that I will deliver high-value content on this channel day in, day out. So subscribe. Make sure that you're one of the first to get notified when a new video drops. All right, let's get back into it. The third real-life example is a major player in the tech industry also going through highly complex organizational change. They were actually working to integrate 3 large organizations into one. And the dynamics of that integration included several layoffs and the integration of other teams that had been a lot more siloed. And the leader of that new integrated organization was not making themselves available to their direct reports when moving through the integration. And it seemed to be due to competing priorities, but really what it made their direct reports feel was as if they didn't have time for them. They didn't have time, and they weren't showing them respect in granting time during one-on-ones and allowing time and space for them to share and communicate. On top of that, This particular leader withheld the ultimate intention that the nature of the teams combining would be less about integrating, so leveraging best practices from all of the organizations and creating kind of a new way of working and new culture, etc., building off the best of all of them, but rather more assimilation, where they were maintaining the culture, the dynamics of one particular organization, which happened to be the largest of all the ones that were being combined, and just striving to make everyone else coming into the fold assimilate to their ways of working. That information was withheld. That intention was withheld. And so there were employees that were assuming, okay, we're about to get integrated and I'm going to be able to bring the best of what I knew coming from this team as I move into the new organization. And so it resulted in a lot of frustration and a lot of anger when what they had expected was not really the case. The lesson here, number one, ensure you are making time to your team members, your peers, and your direct reports, respecting the time that you have on calendar with every individual, showing up on time, as well as committing to these one-on-ones. You know, when we're working through a lot of change, when things are really uncertain, when things are really volatile, simply being there to hold space for the individuals in our team so that they can emote, so they can share how they're working through the change, as well as being there to support them and understand what might be the help request or support needed as they're moving through that change. So make yourself available. And the other part is to be very candid and transparent with the nature of a given change or a given environment. And don't try to sugarcoat or withhold information in an attempt to protect the feelings or the emotions of your organization. The sooner that you can be very honest and transparent with the reality, with the intention moving through the change, the quicker they can internally process it and either get on board or decide this is not for me and move on to their next role or to their next opportunity. That's going to make your life a lot better and it's going to help them as well, as opposed to them coming into a change with a certain preconceived notion or an understanding that's completely different than the reality of what's really going on. That's when tension happens. That's when those really difficult emotions begin to bubble up. And that individual could actually become actively disengaged, where they're seeking others around them to be just as disengaged as they are. And that truly is going to build momentum against the success of your change endeavors. Speaking of leading through change and leading through a VUCA environment, I've got something else for you, and it's a gift. It's for free. I just want to gift you a Keynote recording snippet. Now, this is a recording or a keynote that I delivered to a client that was experiencing a great deal of change and in a very volatile market. And specifically, it's the portion of the keynote where I'm sharing insights and our own research at Change Enthusiasm Global, which is at the center of change and emotion in the workplace. Insights to help those around you to fuel their own growth when going through a lot of change and living in this very VUCA business environment. I want to make sure that you have the tools, the data, the research to ensure your growth and the growth of your teams when going through challenging change and working in a VUCA world. I'm Cassandra Worthy, and until we meet again, keep growing and keep rocking.